Hello, everyone. In this presentation, I will explore how algorithms and the internet shape our understanding of time, history, and sustainability. I connect a podcast discussion with an academic article and the course lectures. And I use a speculative risk analysis method to identify unintended consequences of digital systems. I focus especially on the idea of digital abundance and its hidden risks. The internet is often described as a neutral infrastructure, something that simply stores information or connects people. But in practice, algorithms actively mediate what we see, what we remember, and what we expect from the future. At the same time, sustainability discussions around digital technology often focus narrowly on carbon emissions or energy efficiency. In this presentation, I argue that sustainability must also include cultural, social, and epistemic dimensions. The podcast I chose is Thinking Aloud, the Internet, How It Shapes the Past and the Future. It features a public historian and a scholar in science and technology. The discussion focuses on how history is presented online, how algorithms privilege certain narratives, and how prediction increasingly shapes our understanding of both the past and the future. One of the central insights of the podcast is that attention often matters more than accuracy. Algorithms reward emotional engagement, nostalgia, and outrage because this drives clicks and time spent on the platforms. As a result, history becomes simplified and dramatized. Another key component is that predictions do not just describe the future, they shape behavior in the present, influencing political decisions, cultural trends, and individual actions. To understand these dynamics, it helps to think about how the internet has evolved. Early versions of the web focus on storage and access, making information available. Later, platforms optimize for engagement and monetization. Today, many systems function as prediction engines that anticipate and steer user behavior. As speed and efficiency increases, there is less space for reflection, and history becomes content rather than context. In the course lectures, technology was described as a pharmacon, something that can heal and harm. This concept helps interpret the podcast. The same system that democratizes access to information also flattens nuance and accelerates the spread of errors. There is no purely good or bad in digital system. Benefits always comes with trade-offs. The article I chose is Rethinking Digitalization and Climate. Don't predict, mitigate. The authors here argue that environmental impacts of digital systems are fundamentally difficult to predict because digital infrastructures operates in complex systems. Forecast creates this false certainty. Instead, they argue for mitigation and precaution and responsibility now in the present. Together, the podcast and the article challenge linear ideas of progress. Algorithms collapse time by simplifying the past into easily consumable narratives and reducing the future to predictions and forecasts. Prediction can become a substitute for responsibility. Instead of acting ethically now, we assume the future efficiency or innovation will solve emerging problems. This leads to a broader understanding of sustainability. Sustainability is not only environmental, but social, cultural, and epistemic. When we focus only on metrics and dashboards, excess becomes invisible and normalized. The internet feels immaterial, but it depends heavily in infrastructure and has long term effects on attention, learning, and collective memory. For the risk analysis, I use the tarot cards of technology. These cards are not predictive tools, but speculative ones. They help designers imagine unintended consequences that might not be visible through traditional forecasting. This approach aligns with the article's argument. Instead of just trying to predict the future, we should identify risks and mitigation early. The first risk comes from the siren card, which focuses on overuse. Engagement-driven design encourages constant interaction. Even when systems become more efficient, people often use them more, canceling out any potential sustainable gains. This is known as the rebound effect. Acceleration increases consumption rather than reducing impact. The second risk is inspired by Mother Nature. Sustainability dashboard and green metrics can create a sense of confidence that problems are under control. However, real environmental impacts often remain hidden or displaced. Prediction delays action by suggesting that future improvements will offset present harm. The third risk comes from the forgotten card. Algorithmic systems privilege what is viral, engaging, and monetizable. Histories, cultures, and perspectives that do not fit this logic gradually disappear. This leads to a loss of epistemic diversity and reinforces existing power structures. At this point, it is important to emphasize that this is not about blaming the internet alone. Humans failed to learn from history long before digital media. However, digital systems introduce structural power. They scale behavior and mistakes faster, wider, and with less frictions than before. Errors are not just repeated, they are repeated at scale. To conclude, algorithms reshape our relationship to time. Prediction narrows futures, and acceleration reduces space for reflection. The internet did not cause humanity's failure to learn from history, but it amplifies it. Sustainable and ethical design therefore requires moderation, mitigation, and responsibility, not blind optimization. Designing systems that allow for a slowness, reflection, and limits is one of the key challenges for the future work that we have. Thank you.